Welcome to A History Chapter, where we dive deep into the pivotal moments that have shaped our world. Today, we're exploring one of the most dramatic episodes in the annals of military history, the Siege of Beijing, a highlight in the rise of the Mongol Empire. Join us as we unravel the story of how Genghis Khan, with his unparalleled military genius and indomitable spirit, led the Mongol horde in a siege that not only breached the formidable walls of Beijing, but also marked a turning point in the Mongols' quest to establish one of the largest empires the world has ever seen. The prelude to the Siege of Beijing was a critical phase in the escalating conflict between the Mongol Empire, under Genghis Khan, and the Jin dynasty. Tensions between the two powers intensified due to the Jin's dismissive treatment of Mongol envoys and their refusal to ally against mutual threats. This perceived insult led Genghis Khan to initiate a series of strategic raids into Jin territory around 1207, aiming to probe defenses and acclimate his forces to the region's terrain and logistics. By 1211, these raids escalated into a full-scale invasion. The Mongol strategy relied on their superior mobility, employing fast-moving cavalry units for deep territorial strikes, disrupting Jin supply lines, and instilling panic among the populace. Rather than engaging in direct assaults on fortified cities, the Mongols focused on isolating them, controlling the countryside, and using terror tactics to undermine the morale of the Jin forces and civilians alike. The strategic significance of Beijing, as the political and economic heart of the Jin dynasty, made it a prime target for Genghis Khan. Capturing the city would not only yield substantial resources, but also demonstrate Mongol might and further Genghis Khan's ambitions of empire expansion. The meticulous Mongol campaigns leading up to the siege laid the groundwork for their eventual success, weakening Jin defenses and setting the stage for a pivotal confrontation at Beijing. This period underscored the Mongol Empire's growing dominance in Eurasia, showcasing their military prowess, strategic planning, and the psychological warfare that would lead to the fall of Beijing and mark a significant milestone in the Mongol conquests. Before reaching Beijing, the Mongols had captured significant territories, including important economic and military sites. One of the initial significant engagements, the Battle of Higlight, saw the Mongols decisively defeat a large Jin army. This victory was crucial in breaking the back of the Jin military's ability to mount a coherent defense and opened the path further into Jin territory. This not only weakened Jin's strategic position, but also provided the Mongols with additional resources and manpower. The capture of these territories highlighted the Mongols' strategic depth and their ability to integrate conquered peoples into their military machine. The Mongols' reputation for mercilessness preceded them, leading to instances where cities surrendered without a fight. This tactic not only saved Mongol lives and resources, but also contributed to a faster collapse of Jin resistance. By the time Genghis Khan's forces arrived at the gates of Beijing, the Mongol Empire had effectively dismantled the Jin dynasty's ability to effectively resist. The victories along the way not only showcased Mongol military supremacy, but also their strategic acumen in conducting warfare. The fall of Beijing was not just the culmination of a single siege, but the result of years of calculated strategies and victories that showcased the Mongol Empire's might and changed the course of East Asian history. Following a meticulously orchestrated campaign that saw the Mongol forces outmaneuver and systematically dismantle Jin defenses, the army under Genghis Khan's command finally reached the outskirts of Beijing. This moment was the culmination of a series of calculated moves. As they encircled the city, preparing for the siege, the Mongols' approach reflected a deep understanding of both direct combat and the subtler arts of war, setting the stage for one of the most significant sieges in their conquest of China. This siege was not merely another battle, but a deliberate and strategic effort to weaken the Jin dynasty at its core, showcasing the culmination of the Mongols' relentless advance towards Beijing. During the Siege of Beijing, Genghis Khan demonstrated the full might and ingenuity of the Mongol military machine. The Mongols encircled the city, effectively cutting off all escape routes and supply lines, ensuring that no assistance could reach the besieged inhabitants. This isolation was the first step in a comprehensive strategy designed to break the will of the city's defenders and inhabitants before the walls themselves were breached. The Mongols employed a diverse array of siege engines, including catapults and trebuchets, to launch a relentless barrage against the city's fortifications. These weapons hurled projectiles over the walls, causing destruction and chaos within, while siege towers and ladders facilitated direct assaults against the fortifications. A particularly ruthless tactic involved using captives from previous conquests as human shields during assaults, forcing the city's defenders to hold their fire to avoid killing their own people. The siege of Beijing saw the Mongol army, estimated at around 60,000 to 100,000 warriors, showcasing their military prowess against the Jin dynasty's defenders, whose numbers were likely in the tens of thousands, including the city's garrison and additional forces mustered for the city's defense. The Mongols, under Genghis Khan's command, brought to bear a formidable array of siege machines, including catapults for hurling projectiles over walls, trebuchets for smashing through fortifications with greater force, siege towers to facilitate assaults directly against the city walls, and battering rams designed to breach gates and walls. This arsenal underscored the Mongol army's preparedness for extended siege warfare, reflecting their strategic and technological advancements in military engineering. Genghis Khan's mastery of psychological warfare played a significant role in the siege. The Mongols would feign withdrawals, creating confusion and panic among the city's defenders, exploiting the fear and despair that their reputation for mercilessness had instilled in the population. This psychological pressure was compounded by the Mongols' engineering efforts, which included diverting water sources to either undermine the city's walls or cut off essential supplies, showcasing their strategic ingenuity beyond mere martial prowess. The siege was marked by the disciplined leadership of Genghis Khan, who maintained strict control over his forces, ensuring a coordinated and sustained effort against the city's defenses. His ability to adapt to the challenges of siege warfare, exploiting weaknesses in the Jin defenses, underscored the Mongol army's adaptability and Genghis Khan's strategic genius. Throughout the months-long siege, the Mongols demonstrated not just their military strength, but a sophisticated understanding of siege tactics, engineering, and psychological operations. This approach to warfare, emphasizing adaptability, technological innovation, and psychological dominance, was emblematic of the Mongol conquests and played a crucial role in their success against Beijing, setting the stage for further expansions of the Mongol Empire. The Mongols' relentless assault on the city's defenses, utilizing their array of siege machinery, finally bore fruit when they managed to breach the walls. Once the breaches were made, Mongol forces stormed into the city through multiple points, overwhelming the defenders who were already exhausted and demoralized from the prolonged siege. The Mongols, known for their mobility, were able to move swiftly through the city, securing key points and quashing any pockets of resistance. The capture of Beijing not only demonstrated the effectiveness of Mongol military tactics, but also underscored the strategic importance of the city in controlling the north of China. The fall of Beijing to the Mongol forces was a decisive moment in the history of the Mongol Empire's expansion and decisive victory over Jin dynasty. The aftermath of the siege of Beijing had profound implications, not only for the Mongol Empire and the Jin dynasty, but also for the broader region. The fall of Beijing in 1215 marked a significant turning point, leading to a series of cascading effects that reshaped the political, social, and economic landscape of northern China and beyond. The capture of Beijing significantly weakened the Jin dynasty's hold over northern China. It marked a shift in power, with the Mongols establishing themselves as the dominant force in the region. The loss of their capital forced the Jin dynasty to move their seat of power to Kaifeng, highlighting the beginning of their decline. The fall of Beijing served as a springboard for further Mongol conquests in China. It demonstrated the Mongols' capability to capture heavily fortified cities, instilling fear in other states and facilitating their subsequent military campaigns. The siege and capture of Beijing led to significant civilian casualties and displacement. The social fabric of the region was disrupted, with many fleeing before and after massacres on cities' inhabitants and violence and instability that followed. The siege and subsequent looting of Beijing disrupted the local economy, leading to a decline in trade and agriculture in the short term. The destruction of infrastructure further compounded these economic challenges. Despite the initial destruction, the Mongol conquest eventually facilitated a period of cultural exchange and integration. The Mongols adopted administrative practices from the conquered territories, and there was an exchange of ideas, technologies, and customs between the Mongols and the peoples of the Jin dynasty. In the longer term, the Mongol Empire worked to rebuild and integrate the economies of the territories it conquered. The establishment of the Pax Mongolica, a period of relative peace and stability under Mongol rule, later facilitated trade and economic recovery across Eurasia. There were efforts to rebuild Beijing and other captured cities. The Mongols, recognizing the importance of Beijing as a cultural and economic hub, invested in its reconstruction, influencing the city's urban development and architecture. The rebuilding phase saw a fusion of Mongol and Chinese architectural styles, reflecting the cultural synthesis that occurred under Mongol rule. The siege left a lasting legacy on the historical consciousness of China and the Mongol Empire. It is remembered as a pivotal event that demonstrated the military prowess of the Mongols and their impact on world history. The fall of Beijing and the subsequent Mongol rule had a lasting impact on Chinese culture, literature, and art, influencing subsequent generations' perceptions of the Mongol period. Thank you for joining us today on Chapter about the Siege of Beijing. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you've been fascinated by the tales of Genghis Khan's ingenuity, the Mongol army's might, and the profound impacts of this historic siege, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to A History Chapter. Your support helps us bring more stories from the annals of history to life. Stay curious, keep exploring, and join us next time as we uncover another chapter that has shaped the world we live in. Until then, keep the spirit of history alive.